once again, 6 blocks apart. This show is going to be a tad different. Now, when we first started this some time ago, I think we've got almost 20 episodes in the can now. Every now and again, somebody would slip in a question. This got kind of put into a separate little pile and forgotten about up until now. So what we're going to do on this show is deal with all of the questions. We're going to read out the names. If your question was stupid, then you're going to look stupid. And, well, there you go.
And you all are our guests tonight.
Yeah.
Yes. So, well, let's start with a question that all of us could answer. And this does include you, Garrick. They want to know, how did we each meet our partners? And was it love at first sight? So, Garrick, you want to go first? How did you meet Tony?
I was supposed to go to a party that I was hosting at someone else's house. I was helping them plan the party. And I arrived and I showed up. And in fact, our friend Cheryl was there. And I said, you know what? I'm not supposed to be here. For some reason, I'm supposed to be at Rage in West Hollywood right now. It was a Sunday afternoon. And everyone looked at me like, that was so bizarre for me to do something like that. So I arrive at Rage and I see this guy I had a date with the night before. I'm like, oh shit.
Geez.
I gave up a party to see this guy that I hoped I'd never see again. And then here comes Tony walking through the door. And he wasn't supposed to be there either. He was, he had dropped some friends off at LAX from New York that had been here for a week visiting him. And he was like over the party and ready to just like drop them off and go home. And so what happened is they missed their flight and they called him and said, we got to ride back into West Hollywood, meet us at Rage, and then you can take us back to the airport for our next flight. So I met Tony at a fluke. Neither of us were supposed to be there. And he walked in and we talked for like 20 minutes. He bought me a drink and he says, can I have your number? I'm getting ready to take my friends back to the airport. And I said, you know what? I'll be here because you have to drive back by here on your way home. And I'll be here if you want my number. I'll give it to you when I see you come back. And he did. And it was like an hour and a half later and he showed up and I was so impressed that he came back. And we were kind of together almost ever since.
So was it love at first sight or yeah?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Teresa and Tristan. I know the story, but they don't.
The question was,
how did you meet Tristan? And was it love at first sight?
Okay, we met at the Rainbow Bar and Grill in West Hollywood on Sunset Boulevard.
It's my favorite hangout at the
Is it
time.
still there?
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hasn't changed.
It's a rock and roll band hangout, like well-known, whatever. So my friend, we were visiting from Northern California. My mom lived in Los Angeles and my friend wanted to go to the Rainbow. So I was like, okay, I wasn't so much into heavy metal, but I was like, okay, yeah, we'll go there. She really wanted to go. And lo and behold, there was Tristan and John Riley and
Liz Riley
and
Eddie.
Wow.
Tristan's best friend Eddie was there. And so we met there. And no, it wasn't love at first sight, but it definitely was lust at first sight. That was 32 years ago.
Wow.
Wow, 32 years ago.
Was that the place that had the VIP lounge?
Yes, and that's where we met, in the VIP lounge.
I remember
And
that.
even the VIP is kind of a stretch.
Oh,
Well, it's called, wasn't it called the Nest?
Something like that.
It's like a little room above.
They've changed the shape of it now.
Okay.
They hammered out a wall and it's really 3 times the size now. But when we got it,
Yeah.
it was a small area about 4 times the size of a phone box. And basically, I would go in there and give one of the waitresses $20 and say, just hang around. Because you could never get service in there. Service there was terrible. But you give someone $20, that's all they're going to make all night anyway. So they go, oh,
Right.
I'll stick by this guy.
wow.
And that's what I would do. I'd go in there with my friends and we'd take over that little area, and we never had bad service. It was good. I loved it. And the food there was surprisingly good.
Okay, that wasn't the question.
But no, but wasn't it your birthday too? Was it his birthday?
It was his 42nd birthday.
Yeah, and I was with somebody else at the time.
Ooh, now it gets
Ooh,
interesting.
see, that's juice.
Well, he said he had a date, but I never saw her.
She was there.
Okay.
She went home by herself.
Well, if she was there, I was sitting on his lap right in front of her.
Oh, wow. That escalated
Yeah.
quickly. Tim, you can
Well,
tell
for
our
us,
story.
she tells the story differently because to her it felt different. But we live in Palm Springs now, and she lived in Palm Springs, and I was driving in from LA to play at a club, and this was right before the Northridge earthquake happened. And I saw her come in before we started performing with her friend at the bar. I was instantly interested, and then she walked away and her friend stayed. So I went up and met her friend for the sole purpose of wanting to meet her. And then,
Right.
and then her story is that we were introduced through her friend, because her friend came and said, "Oh, I just met this guy, and he's so whatever, you ought to meet him." And then she brought her to me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, so it worked out very well. But so her story is that her friend introduced us, but I only talked to her friend so she would introduce us, and it was definitely attraction / etc. at first sight.
What date was that?
It was a couple months before the Northridge earthquake. So if that was
Early 90s?
93,
Like 93?
93, yeah, like
Yeah.
October, November of 93.
Wow.
something
Because
like
we
that.
were there.
You were babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Zero one.
we were late 20s at the time.
That question was answered.
Okay, yes. Thank you, Barb, for that question. Okay, Tristan, I know you've answered this question before, but it probably is great to do this one again just to get everything established with all the other questions. So Jacqueline wants to know, and Jacqueline, if you watch the other shows, you know the answer.
Ooh.
But anyway,
Shame on you, Jacqueline. Shame on you.
how did you land the role of Robert Scorpio on General Hospital?
It was your atypical traditional audition.
Yeah, that's a good time to get up and get a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's getting a fan.
I'm
It's
actually
really
moving the
hot.
fan. I'm moving the fan over to us.
I'd get up and get myself a drink, but I can't. So
Just because we've heard the story like, I don't know how many times. But
So
go ahead.
when you can get me a drink. Thank you.
You just put your.
Perfect.
Okay, go ahead. Tell this story.
So
Oh, that feels good.
I got called in for an audition to go in and audition for an East African. And I said to my agent, I said, what WTF is an East African? He said, I don't know. And he said, I'm sure they don't either. So I went in. There was one other person in there who I knew. He was an Australian. And so, and he was a big deal Australian too. He'd done a lot of top work back there.
Oh, really?
So,
Crocodile Dundee?
no,
Oh, okay, then I don't know who it was.
that kind of narrowed the field right away, didn't it? I went in and read, and they said, okay, thank you very much. And before I even got home, my manager said, my agent said, you got a call back tomorrow, and that's a good thing. And I said, exactly what am I doing in there? He said, it's a 2-day role, but General Hospital's hotter than a pistol right now. It's a good credit. I said, okay. So this went on for the entire week. And every time I went back in there were more and more and more people in the office. So it went from 2 people in the office to over 20. And there were some big wigs in there. There was head of VP, a VP of daytime, and there was head of programming for primetime, all sorts of people. So we get to the end of the week, Friday, and they still hadn't told me, and I just knew I had the role. So following Monday, I had a cattle call to go to. And I told my wife, I said, look, if they call,
Not this wife.
no, this was another one.
I knew that was coming.
It's Mark II. So I said, look, here's the number there. I found it out from, my modeling agent. She said, fine. So I get in there. There's about 50 people, your atypical Hollywood cattle call. So I'm sitting there, and then I hear there's a voice calling out, is there a Tristan Rogers here? And I said, yeah, that'd be me. She said, I've got a phone call for you. And it didn't occur to me at the time that the phone call could have been Barbara. I thought, oh, I got another call from my agent. I've got another appointment, and they're probably close together. So I get up there, and Barbara's screaming on the end of the phone. You got it, you got it, you got it. So I'm going, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, thank you, bye.
He does the phone, everything.
So I put the phone down, and I looked around. I said, everybody, take your job and stuff it up your ass, and walked out.
Even though it was only a 2-day role.
Yeah.
So the 2-day role became
15-year-old.
15.
So Tristan,
Well,
do you remember?
Actually, how many is it now?
But
back
do
and
you
forth.
remember?
It's over 30 now.
So the role is over 30 years.
But I would love to hear, because I have heard the story, but I never heard what your actual the 2-day role was. Like, how did they introduce your character?
I start by breaking into Luke's apartment.
Oh.
I'm looking for the Ice Princess.
Oh, yeah.
What the devil? We meet again, Mr. Scorpio. This time, please note who's holding the hardware.
Okay.
And at that point, my character hadn't been designed good or bad. So I finish by beating him up and leaving. Straight after that was on day 2. Straight after that, Gloria calls me into the office and says, look, we like what you're doing. We'd like to have you stick around for a while. I was speechless. I was totally speechless. And so my agent called, and he said, well, I guess you know, don't you? She said, yeah. He said, we're in negotiations right away. So shortly after that, my agent went and did something really, really stupid. He committed my name to something that he had no right to doing. And that within AFTRA was a definite no, that could get you fired or disbarred from the union.
Wow.
So my ex-wife, who was a very astute businesswoman, said, this is a good thing because we don't want you part of that agency. They got you the job, yeah, and ba-boom, but they can't take you to the next step. So it gave us an out to get rid of them. And they were happy that we didn't turn around and shop it to the union, because then they would have been in serious trouble.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
So it was an interesting situation. And then after that, away it went.
Huh.
Well, Garrick, that was a good question,
Yeah, it
but
was.
all questions are supposed to be submitted in writing. So
Oh, I'm
do
sorry.
you have any?
I'm always growing up like that, you know?